Okay, we're going to be starting off video assignment number 3. So the question number 11 states XYZ recently paid $1.10 as its annual dividends. Future dividends are projected at $1.06, $1.02, and $1 over the next 3 years, respectively. After that, dividends is expected to decrease by $2 by 2% annually. What is one share of the stock? What is one share of the stock worth at the rate of return of 17%? So here we have our timeline. And in order to begin digesting this question, we're going to have to first calculate D4. So here on this timeline, we can see D1, D2, D3, and then D4, and how to do that. So also we can see it down here. So D1 is $1.06. Continue on, $1.02. D3 is $1. D4 is going to be D3 plus 1 plus growth, which is 1 plus 1 plus 1 multiplied by 1 plus 0.02, negative 0.02, which is a growth. We're going to get 98 cents for D4. So the step 2 is calculating price at 3, which is here is D4 divided by rate minus G. So that's going to equal the D4 that we just calculated at 98 cents divided by 0.17, the rate of return, multiplied by or minus the negative 0.02 growth, which is $5.15.79%. Step 3, we're going to go ahead and implement the equation to figure out P0. Of course, this is all spelled out. We have D1 divided by 1 plus R to the first power plus D2 divided by 1 plus R to the second power plus D3 plus price 3, because this is where we're at, divided by 1 plus R to the third. And of course, once we input all the information that we have, that's going to be 1.06 divided by 1 plus 0.17 to the first, plus 1.02 divided by 1 plus 0.17 to the second, plus 1 plus the actual price of at 3, 5.1579 divided by 1 plus 0.17 to the third. And we're going to go ahead and get P0 of $5.50 at time 0. Moving on to number 12. ABC Co. is growing quickly. Dividends are expected to grow at a rate of 20% for the next 3 years, with the growth rate falling off at a constant 4% thereafter. If the required return is 10% and the company just paid a dividends of $3.70, what is the current share price? So again, we're trying to calculate the price at time 0. And to do that, we're going to go ahead and start by calculating D1, D2, D3, D4 on our timeline. And we have most of the information. We have all the information to do that here, right? So we have, in order to calculate D1, we can use the equation D0 multiplied by 1 plus the growth rate. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and input 3.7 plus 1.2 to get $4.44 at D1. At D2, we're going to instead of D0, we're going to implement D1. So now that we have D1, we're going to implement $4.44 multiplied by 1.2 to get 5.328 at D2, D3. Again, we're going to input D2 into the equation now and end up with 6.40. And D4, again, implement D3, but this time, since it's a different part of the equation, we're going to use G2, the growth rate after, which is 4%. Which is a constant 4% after the so we're going to implement 6.3936 times 1.04 and get $6.64. So step 2 would be to calculate price at time 3. So again, we're going to use the D4 that we used, and then we're going to divide that by the rate of return, and then we're going to use growth rate 2. So $6.64 divided by 0.06%. And we're going to get $110.82. Step 3, we're going to implement all of our D's, all of our findings into the equation. So initially we calculated D1, which is $4.44. We're going to divide that by 1.1 to the first power. We're going to add D2, which is 5.328 divided by 1.1 to the second power plus D3, and then plus D3 of $6.39 plus the price, $110. Divide that by 1.10 to the third. We're going to end up with price at time zero of $96.51. Number 13, DEFCO's dividends are expected to grow at a rate of 12% for the next 30 years, with the growth rate falling off at a constant 3% thereafter. If the required return is 12% and the company is expected to pay a dividend of $1.70 next year, what is the current share price? So here again, we have our timeline. We have our required rate of return. We have our growth rate, our first growth rate at 12%, and then after the third year is 3%. So we're going to start off again with calculating our D's, our dividends. So dividend 1 is going to be $1.70, which was given because the company is expected to pay that dividend, so that was given to us. It's not D0 this time, it's D1. We're going to go ahead and calculate D2 with that information, implement our D1 into the equation. So 1.70, multiply that by 1 plus the growth. The first growth rate, we're going to get $1.90. D3, implement the new D2 that we just figured out into that growth rate equation. Into that equation to figure out D3, sorry. So 1.90 cents. Multiply that by 1 plus 0.12 to get $2.13. Now for D4, we're going to be using a different growth rate because that's after the 3 years. So we're going to use D3 that we calculated, 2.13%, sorry, 2.13 cents. Multiply that by 1.03 to get $2.19. Step 2, we're going to calculate P3, price at time 3. We're going to use our D4. We're going to divide that by the required rate of return, minus the growth, number 2. So $2.19 divided by 0.12 minus 0.03. We're going to get $24.40. And then the last step is calculating price at time 0. We're going to do that by implementing our D's. So $1.70 divided by 1 plus 0.12 to the first, plus 1.904 divided by 1 plus 0.12 to the second, and then at D3 is going to be $2.13 plus 24 plus the price of 24.40 cents divided by 1 plus 12.12 divided by, to the third power. And we're going to end up with $21.92. Thank you.